Hello and welcome everybody. How you doing? Don and team here, just getting things kicked off. I wanted to do a quick sound check first and make sure that everybody can hear me. So if I could get some confirmation, if you guys can, kind of see my screen and hear me, that would be awesome. Yes. All right. John says yes. Courtney, Chris, Andrea, Amanda, Steve, and Zane. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Good. So we can get started.
We're not seeing your screen, though.
Oh, not seeing the screen. Okay.
We're hearing your audio.
Rickard just said that too. How about now?
Yep, now we are.
Perfect. All right, good. Well, I see people still rolling in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started because we're right at it. We're actually running a couple minutes late, and we've got a lot of good stuff to cover. So all systems go. Great. Well, welcome you guys to our first agency and reseller webinar. We're very excited about this. The whole team is here for you, and in addition, we've got another team member I want to introduce a little bit later too that you don't see on the slide. But what we're going to do is go through some new features. But first, I wanted to say thank you guys so much. We love this chance to be able to interact with you. We love watching your accounts grow with us. We know that means that you're being successful, and we definitely like that. And seeing some of you cross over, 100 locations and 500 locations, that just is exciting for us because that's what we work on every day, and we are stepping up our game in terms of how we can support you too, and that's something we want to talk about today. One of the things we want to do is this webinar. We want to do this quarterly now in 2018, and show and call out features and things that are specific to you guys, and also get your feedback. And most of you reach out to us directly anyway, and please keep doing that. But we'd like having this forum to be able to interact with you and just address reseller and agency specific questions and issues too. So I just wanted you guys to know that we take those suggestions seriously. We bake them into our roadmaps, and hopefully you'll see some of that come through here. All right, so for today, we want to talk about our new feedback modes. Some of you may have been in these webinar on Tuesday and seen this already. We have a few other things we want to show you, and we want to take more of a specific approach for resellers here. So please don't hesitate to, some of you have reached out with some feedback. You've been already trying out the new modes, had some good feedback for us. And so we also have a couple of other features we want to talk about, and then definitely do Q&A. And let's do that all throughout, like as we go, right? So in terms of the new modes, so the new feedback flows really there are three main areas we focused on here. One is design, so providing you with brand new, clean designs, new NPS, Net Promoter Score, scale buttons with larger touch targets for mobile. We removed some elements because they didn't contribute, so sometimes things like extra, like the photo in the image was moving everything else down, moving the call to action down. So we've been streamlining based on testing. Also, efficiency is the second real pillar. Trying to put everything in one place, and you'll see this in a few minutes if you haven't looked at it. But when you're editing your feedback flow, having everything in one spot, not on multiple pages, trying to have icons to indicate each of the steps, information on when things were last edited, and you'll see this. And then the third pillar really is on results. So having less content, more action driven by moving to the Net Promoter Score to the first email, and some new default content. So all this to say that these are changes, and I know that changes sometimes cause problems for people. And there's going to be a little bit of work for you to convert customers over to new modes, to the new feedback flows when you see this. But I wanted to let you know we put a lot of thought and a lot of testing into these changes, whether that's how we organized the content or by how we've changed the default content. Many other areas we've put a lot of thought into this, and what we want to try to identify today as well is for you guys, like, what does this mean for you to move over, and how can we help you move your clients over, because you're going to see the results are going to be a lot better. I mean, these new modes are giving us, we're seeing in our testing and now with people using it in production, with our beta tests before that, much higher open rates, more feedback, more reviews, and it's because of some of these efficiencies that we've made in the content and in the flow. And plus the new redesign, if you haven't seen it, they just look so much more clean and professional now. Allows your client's branding to show through. Same with the landing pages. And also, really, I think the thing that's going to be interesting from a reseller perspective is depending on how much time and hand-holding you spend with your clients, these new modes are going to help them focus on the results. So, some of your clients might want to have, they might be focused on first-party reviews for a while and then want to switch to get more third-party reviews on specific sites, or they might need to initiate survey questions to focus on certain areas of their business. And these modes allow you to switch between those very easily and quickly instead of having to reconfigure things for them. And I think that gives you a lot of other options if you're working with clients to help them with different aspects of their business other than just getting online reviews or just setting it up and forgetting it. You can work with them and tweak and adjust over time. And this is something that Mike Blumenthal has done with many of you and has seen great results with. And so, so many of these new modes and what we're doing is based on the testing that he's done and that we've done and seen you guys ask for. So these results I was talking about, we're seeing compared to the previous averages, we're seeing, whereas before we were getting a 40% open rate, getting a 52% open rate when you average the ultimate and review modes out. Feedback rates much higher, from 20 to 37%, and click-through to review sites much higher, up to 13.6% versus 3.5%. So super results here, and you definitely want to be leveraging these for your clients because this is how you're going to get those clients to see more results and more success. So we're excited about these results. One of the other things we're finding that is important if you're not doing this is to help set expectations with customers, because a lot of customers are going to come in and say to you, hey, I want to get more reviews on Google, and that's all they're focused on, and they think that for every feedback request they send out, they should get a review. And as you know, that's just not the case, right? It's they got to ask. There's a numbers game here, and so what we're trying to do, and we can provide. Kind of wanted to bounce this off you. These are the kind of visuals that we're looking at producing and providing to our customers, and you might want something like this for yours. But this helps set expectations and ask them, well, what are you actually looking for? If you wanted to get 10 new online reviews, third-party reviews, you need to send at least 200 feedback requests. Now, this varies based on industry and based on the customer relationships they already have, but this is a pretty good average. So you send out 200 feedback requests, you get 90 opens, 60 first-party reviews, which keep in mind are just amazing to leverage on their website through our testimonials widget, giving you in Google, the rich snippets results. So those are super powerful. Basically, fresh content updating on their website regularly, which, as you know, is one of the biggest problems for small business websites. So 60 responses, 36 clicks through to review sites, which yields 10 online reviews. So something like this is always a good thing to be able to set expectations with customers. Roman is asking, oh, hey, Roman, I remember you from local university, so in Santa Monica. Good to see you. Yes, we will provide a copy and a recording of this presentation as well.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, in the deck, because a number of people are commenting on this graphic, I will just include a black and white of this graphic or a grayscale. That way you guys can use it no matter what your branding colors are. So I'll provide that. That way you have an image ready to go if you want to reuse this.
Yeah, perfect. And Travis says, loves the visual. Great info. Don says, I love visuals. Already took some screenshots. Good. Jason, I definitely need this. Are you talking email requests versus SMS? These averages are email. I think you do have an SMS there, Aaron. I don't know if this is an average. I think these are email stats, though, right?
Yeah, we didn't run any extensive SMS in the process, just because with making many of the new features so drastic in email by moving the step up, that's where we wanted to focus on.
Yeah, SMS is more, the open rate is much higher typically for SMS. So, but it depends, you know, on factors like the industry and the customer relationships and things like that.
But in the end, I don't think the average click-throughs to review sites on SMS is any higher. I mean, opens are higher, but I don't think follow-throughs are higher.
Yeah. The thing to remember with SMS is that really you're still taking them into the same flow. It's just you might activate more on the front end, but we need more extensive testing to be able to say for sure if it's, yeah. All right. So let's get into these modes and talk about them a little bit. And you know, this is the section where I know some of you have seen this maybe if you came on Tuesday, but you know, ask your questions. Maybe I know many of you since Tuesday have been in and already playing with this stuff and trying it. I know that Jan and Paul sent me some great questions and feedback, and I want to try to address all of that as we go through on these. So the ultimate mode, this mode is most closely mirroring our current default setup, right? So there are 3 new modes, and I'm going to go through each of them now and give you an overview, and then I'll show them to you in a minute. So,
hey Don, can we step back? I want to mention a disclaimer that we probably should have. Will you go back to our example of the flow?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
So within that, what's really important for people to note, and I'm sure some of this for some of you might be common sense, but it's always worth reiterating, and it's something you should be talking to your clients about. When you see this is for a good to great NPS client, right? You can't have somebody that has a -20 for their NPS, and the customer obviously hasn't had a great experience, doesn't love it that much, and think you're going to get 10 reviews out of 200 feedback requests. Now, if you're a strong, you know, 25, 50, and close to an exceptional in the 75, 80 range, you will get, you know, this type of response out of what's there. But as I tell people when I give presentations, our platform does not turn crappy experiences into great ones by sending them emails and landing pages, right? That comes down to the business. So just a really good point to note with this, that if you are delivering good service to great service, this is the type of results you will see, as compared to if you're delivering crappy service, it will take you a lot more feedback requests to get 10 reviews.
And to add on that, the personal ask at the time of sale, gee, we're going to send you a survey, we hope you fill it out, leave us feedback and review, will increase whatever your natural rate is significantly.
Yep, for sure. The personal ask is a big deal, and we're working on more materials and product ideas for making that even easier, but that's something people can do right now, is just making sure to ask in the office. And clients that do that get much higher all the way through this funnel. Yeah, so ultimate mode. If you look at the screens, these are the new designs. You can kind of see here what we've done is we've moved the Net Promoter question right up into the first email instead of the give feedback button. That has really increased the response rate. The new designs have made a difference. Better touch targets on mobile. Really, this mode, this allows you to capture the whole customer experience. It allows you to capture the most. And it's like the mode that we use when we're following up with our customers. So it allows you to capture Net Promoter Score, optionally drill into survey questions if you want to find out information about how people feel about price or service or wait time or whatever. And its primary focus is getting you first-party reviews that you can leverage on your website, pushing fresh content to the business's website on a regular basis, and showing up, you know, in the search results. These are great. There's just lots and lots of examples.
You want to progress your slides. You're back on the. It didn't move forward from the graphic. There you go.
How about now?
Now we see ultimate mode.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you, Aaron. Completely missed that. So, yeah. So the secondary focus is to generate third-party reviews. So we're getting, you still get a lot of third-party reviews on sites like Google and Facebook and whatever the industry-specific sites are for the industries, but it's not the primary focus in this mode. And so really 3 steps here, complete capture of the customer experience. All right, the next mode I want to talk about is review mode. Review mode closely mirrors our ratings only mode. If you're using that, those of you who have used that in the system and have configured it, that's an option in our feedback settings previously before this launch. And this is closest to that, although we made some changes here too. The Net Promoter Score question is in the feedback request email, right, allowing you to capture Net Promoter Score and then ask happy customers for a third-party review on Google or Facebook or whatever sites you're focused on, and unsatisfied customers for information on what went wrong, right? Because we also have the direct feedback link down there, and you'll see that you can configure this, but we recommend having a direct feedback link because based on our research, customers, they want that third option. They may not be ready to leave you an online review because they have an issue or they have something they want to talk about, or they're not quite mad enough or happy enough to leave
or
that.
they may be in a demographic that like people over 55 who prefer to give you direct feedback, right? That's just, that demographic prefers to do that as opposed to millennials, which prefer to give you Google feedback.
Yep. Rickard is asking, the text next to the direct feedback button is currently not editable. Will that be possible in the future? Yeah, Rickard, I mean, that's a good one. That's a good question, and that's something that should be editable. Yep. I agree. And if you guys can help me capture these things as we go, I would appreciate that, because that's a great suggestion. Yeah, so
I am the world's most passive-aggressive and worst secretary, just as a note.
okay, well, somebody's got to help me out here. We've got the recording and all the notes, so we definitely keep track of all these. And I think, there are going to be a few little things like that in here where you guys are going to find it. So thanks for pointing that out. So review mode is really, it's designed as a primary focus. It's 2 steps instead of 3, and it's designed to be a quick process to request the third-party review on Google or Facebook, but we're still capturing the Net Promoter Score too, right? So we're using Net Promoter Score to understand who's happy and who's not. We're capturing that third-party review. And then secondarily, we're providing customers a method for direct feedback. So this is a great option as well, depending on your goals, right? And once again, you'll see that it's really easy to switch between these modes and to customize each of them. All right, the third mode is called direct mode. And direct mode, just as the name suggests, it gets right to the point. So the very first email request has the Google and the Facebook and whatever your online review, your third-party review sites you want to focus right in the email. So front and center, and it's right there. And then you should also, let me just kind of advance to the next slide. So it's really, there's not a Net Promoter Score question, so you're not capturing Net Promoter Score. You're not capturing any free-form feedback or first-party reviews. This is just really primarily focused on getting the online review. Now, again, we have this option in there, and you're going to see you can tweak this. The give feedback button is a great idea to still have in this note, because just like we said in review mode, there are a lot of situations where people want to leave feedback directly, and you don't want to just cut that out, right? So, but you can lead front and center with the online with these. Now, the thing to note in this mode is you should have a good handle on your customer. Hopefully you know what your Net Promoter Score is already, or your client knows already, because you're sending them directly to Google and Facebook, so it's a good idea to have an understanding of where you're at. We recommend that you would run in ultimate mode or review mode for a while first and capture your Net Promoter Score and understand where you're at. I think Mike has a slightly different view on that. I mean, Mike, you said last time that...
Yeah, well, my view is that if we have the option to put the give feedback at the top of this flow, and my experience, which will capture website content as well as NPS score, so it will capture NPS from some percentage. It allows a person to do both things, and my experience with it, and I know I've talked to a lot of you about it, is that if you can two issues. One is if you can overcome the resistance of the business, I think that they will find that the lack of thresholding, i.e. not just sending happy people, won't turn out bad because most people aren't happy, will give feedback directly. And the second thing is I think you need to keep your eye on the industry because currently TripAdvisor requires you to use this mode. And I think if you're a big TripAdvisor user, you want to be sure not to violate their rules. But I think Google at some point will publicly, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think you need to keep an eye out for changes in the industry and start experimenting with this mode. So if the industry standard changes, you can adapt to it. So, and like I said, I find that I think Don's suggestion is good that you start in ultimate mode and see what NPS is. But I think you'll find if you write the email correctly, you'll get a lot of throughput of both direct and third party, both first party and third party content this way.
Again, the focus will be more on third party than first party. So that's just a focus decision you need to make, right?
Not if you move the feedback button to the top, you'll find you get a lot of both.
As much as in ultimate mode, or?
Well, again, I haven't compared it to ultimate mode yet because that's new. But in the comparisons I did with this flow, we got a lot of throughput. Now, is it combined with a personal ask? It was combined with a great NPS score in a couple places. So, it's not a universal test yet. I'm hoping to get larger scale tests. But
yep. Well, we're getting data.
I would suggest to people, though, don't be afraid of it. I know you'll get some pushback, but I think that if you put that feedback at the top, test it and see. I think you'll find that most human beings want to do the right thing, don't want to screw you, and will give you private feedback if they're unhappy.
And just as a note to you guys, we, of course, as we have lots and lots of locations, thousands and thousands of locations using these modes, we're tracking all this. So we can give you some general stats, and we'll be sharing those with you in future webinars to say, hey, for ultimate mode, here's what it looks like. For review mode, here's what it looks like. For direct mode. So we're capturing that stuff. And of course, you have to, there's variations based on net promoter score for that business and based on their industry type and things like that. But at least you can get a general idea, of what this is. And then Courtney said, so there's no comment box in this mode. That is true, Courtney, unless they click on that give feedback button. And I'll show you this in a minute. If they click on that, you can still capture, we've set it up so that you can still capture the NPS. You can capture the free-form comment, which is the first-party review. You can even include survey questions if you want. So, you're kind of going direct, but then if you've got a customer who has a lot they want to tell you, you can still set it up to capture all that stuff.
Yeah, Courtney actually asked that question during review mode, and I did post an answer. But yes, review mode still has the question box, but it's only after the user clicks give direct feedback. So it has to be at their choice. Obviously, the focus of review mode is NPS and then write to reviews request with the give feedback button below that, the direct feedback. But if they click that direct feedback button that's in the lower right there on the example template, it then goes to the comment box and asks them to share more about their experience. So you can still capture first-party reviews and feedback there. And just as Don was alluded to, what we want to be able to arrive at, right, is we have more and more switching over to this and we're calculating the results. We want to be able to give you a really good idea, what are the trade-offs between each of these modes and what can you expect with, good to great customer service, what will these modes produce, right? So you can understand, hey, if I use Ultimate, I will get 5 times the amount of first-party reviews compared to third-party reviews. But if I have a business that has good service and sends out enough feedback requests, I'm going to get enough of one, and it's very valuable to have all this feedback. Or, hey, I want to use review mode. I want to pump reviews as hard as possible and get people into that. And here's what we see in that, and we lose some of the first-party reviews, but we still get enough based on the amount of customers we put in for this client of ours. And lastly as well, direct mode, and just as Don and Mike were talking about the location of, how does the top feedback or bottom feedback button above or below the reviews, how does that impact it and how the results impact that. So It also allows us much better tracking, so we can give you guys ideas on, what can you expect on average with good performance out of each of these modes, so you can help your clients make good decisions based on what's important to them or based on what you guys are doing and try to accomplish for them, and how you're selling and positioning it, what you need to have happen.
Yep, awesome. Good questions. Courtney's asking another question about if someone goes direct, can they still leave a review after providing feedback? Yes.
Yeah, so if they go through the direct feedback, it's then going to ask them the NPS question. It's then going to have the first party review box, feedback box that's on there, and then it's going to ask them for a review again. So if they go through the give feedback section, it's basically just like going through ultimate mode then. It's just they've arrived at it differently than NPS in the first email. It's after they've clicked give feedback.
Yep. Steve's asking, is kiosk mode still available? Yes, Steve, definitely. And we've updated that with the new you'll see the new visual editors. We've updated that as well, and it's got its own kind of separate flow, but it's definitely still available. We've got a lot of people using that and getting great results with it. So definitely moving, that is still there, and we're updating that along with everything. All right. The other thing you'll notice, we've got a new branding colors settings screen, and I'll show you this in a minute, where we wanted to basically say capture this all in one place, where each location can set their special branding. You'll see there's like a logo just like before, a banner image like before, but there's a new accent color that's going to show up in the new designs. And so I'll show you that, but that's also a new kind of dimension to what we're doing here. I'm excited about that because I think it's just a cleaner way to capture all that info. So 3 modes here: ultimate mode, which is 3 steps we talked about; review mode, 2 steps; direct mode, 1 step. So those are the 3 modes. I'm going to show those to you now, and we can kind of go through and check those out, but I wanted to just kind of summarize what we've got here.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the step qualification on these is basically the steps before you're asking for an online review, right? So these all have many touch points in them, like direct mode. If you click, give feedback, you then have multiple other steps in this, but the steps are basically qualifying and how fast you're asking for that online review, since for a majority of people that's a major driver. So that's where the 3-step, 2-step, and 1-step comes into play.
Yeah, that's a good clarification. Thanks, Aaron. It's like really how many steps do you see the online review links, right? The third-party review links. Yep. All right, so let's jump in.
Even a note on the 3 steps. Each of the steps is significantly shorter than it was before. They're very brief. They're sort of much more consistent with a mobile interface, so people are more likely to accomplish them because they're so short.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing in our results too, for sure. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's go take a look. Here I'm in Get 5 Stars. I'm going to go, there's a couple new, the first thing that you want to do is go to the branding colors screen, which I just mentioned. So here I am in a location. I drove in from my business dashboard to my customer dashboard. I'm going to go to the branding colors screen, and you're going to see here the logo. We're going to bring this over. So if for this business they already have their their logo, we bring that over. Same thing with the banner image, but this accent color is new. So you definitely want to check this out and make sure that it's that this is set, because it's going to show up in the new designs and the emails, the landing pages, and so that's just a thing that people are going to, kind of like the first step here, is just to make sure that this looks good. You've got the right logo and the accent color. From there, you're just going to go to settings, request.
Don, I think it's good to mention what we're working on for the accent color for selection.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, and sometimes you guys don't like it when I say
I think that's okay to. It's small and it's already halfway done. So.
Pretty much done. What we're going to do is, like, when you upload the logo, we're going to come up with a color palette of colors from the logo, like squares, so that you can just click on the square that you want. So maybe you see the blue, or you see the white, or you see, I see white, you might not do, but whatever the colors in your logo, we come up with 5 different colors that are from the logo, which you can choose, or you can just you type in a hex code directly like this. So you'd have like, if you knew exactly what the color was, you could still just put it in the box. But if you didn't know, like I don't know what this is 003366, you could just, we're going to pull those out of the logo and you can just pick the one you like. So that's kind of a nice
Yeah, and one other thing to note with that Ricard had asked a question on regarding the accent color. So you do want to use a medium to darker color for that accent color because it's used in text, it's used in an outline, it's used in buttons where the text in the button is white. So using white for an accent color would be a terrible idea. It will blank things out. The auto set on it is a medium gray. But the darker and the stronger the accent pulling a color out of your logo, the better off. And that's why we're going to pulling a logo. One, we want to keep you in brand, and two, that the colors that are in your logo are going to be tones that are meant to stand out as well. So you definitely don't want a super light color, or you don't want to have a white by any means, because that would cause problems within the design. And when you go into the editor, you will see that exactly, because once you set these first. Yep. Then you see every edit screen with the logo and the accent color and where it's applied.
Yep, so you'll see it in the visual preview. Jen says accent color is a great ad, and she really likes the idea of the color palette. Cool, that's really close. We're almost done. It says here the logo display is 300, but the CSS in the Gmail is set to 370. I thought we tested that. Rickard, thank you for that. We'll look into it. I'm not going to drill into it right now, but we'll definitely check that out. We did a lot of testing on different logo sizes and scaling to try to make sure everything looks right. So, we will check this out though, what you're suggesting here. Okay, so I go to settings and request modes, and what you're going to notice is at first when you go in there, you're going to be set to legacy mode, and that's where we're preserving existing content and existing settings. So
for existing customers.
That's right. That's right. Good point, Mike. So this is only if you've got an existing location. We wanted to save any customizations that were made to the feedback request emails or landing pages or any of that. We wanted to save those off in case, and basically that's their default mode. So we don't want to switch anything on them without them understanding it. Now, for a new customer, a new location that started, they won't have the legacy mode. It's going to go straight to ultimate mode or review mode or direct mode. I mean, ultimate mode will be the default, but then we're working on something in the setup wizard where we're going to ask a few questions and maybe set it based on the goals. But for right now, ultimate mode is the default. You can switch these. One thing to notice, though, we made a decision here, and this is where I want to get some. We've been thinking through how this affects you guys and what kind of tools you need. But you think about if you've made customizations to the existing templates, when you switch to ultimate mode, we do not pull those changes into the new modes. And the reason for that is because a lot of people have customized their content knowing that there's a give feedback button in the email. And so if we then, now that we're putting the Net Promoter Score in that first email, or in some cases, or in direct mode, we've got the online review links, then that text may not make any sense. And what we didn't want to do is like automatically set someone up when they did the upgrade so that emails are going out that don't make any sense. So there is some time involved in saying, hey, I've got these new design templates, I've got these new modes, I need to manually update any of my content. And so we have a lot of new content as well for each of these landing pages and emails that is based on our testing and trying to shorten things up. So the recommendation is to go in, take a look at that, and you're going to have to do some work. And so we've got, we're working with some of you already on thinking about what kind of tools you need for that. Jason is asking, will you talk about sales support today? Jason, yes, we can do that after this section, and after I show you this stuff, we should definitely talk about it, and we're glad to do that, and we're going to make an introduction today of someone that can help you as well. Andrew is saying, can you just clarify, with existing locations, do we need to amend the size of the logo and banner image, or will the existing images be used? Yes, we will use the existing images, Andrew. So you don't need to change those. I definitely suggest that you go in and you check it in the new, in the visual editor, and I'm going to show you that now. But we intended to make it to use the existing ones. All right, so I'm going to go in now. So we're in ultimate mode. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to show you that on the right-hand side is basically a list of all the steps in that mode. So we try to indicate next to each step, with this icon. Okay, this is an email. This is the landing page, just to kind of give an idea of what we're dealing with. But here you're going to see the flow, starting with. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump there. Starting with the feedback request, we have the original feedback request in ultimate mode that they get. I'm going to drill into that in a second. I've got the first reminder, the second reminder. I can turn these off, set the timing. But the idea is that everything's in one place now. I don't have to switch between multiple screens like I did before, and I can see the whole flow here and edit it. We tried to set it up so that the default content is good to go, but it's always editable and changeable too. So when I click edit, I'm looking at the feedback request. Here you can see that accent color we talked about, the new design, leveraging the logo, trying to brand it and style it for the business. You can edit the subject line. We can edit the body sections here as well. And the tags work differently. If you used tags before, like you can see we inserted your business name or your first name or whatever. Now you just right click and all those tags are available to insert into the body content. And then here you can see the Net Promoter Score scale. So again, this is ultimate mode. And this is where I would be checking to make sure the logo still looks good and everything. And then we also have this the save and send a test email. So after I make my changes, save it and send it, it's going to send myself a test. And obviously we always recommend that you do that. So I want to go take a look right now. Give me a second, and I want to pop over and see if we can take a look at one of these emails here. All right, so this is what the email looks like. So I'm in the subject line. Here's the email we just saw in the visual preview, right? And I'm just going to click through the flow so you can see what that looks like as well. So basically just going to click on the Net Promoter Score. If you remember our previous default, there was a give feedback button in here, so this text was a little bit different. So I'm going to click the 10. You can click through to see what's next. Now in this case, we added some survey questions, and I'll show you where those live in a minute, but we wanted to drill into the speed of service, how was the pizza in the waiting room. You can add these if you want to drill in. They're optional, but you can add these in. And then there's the actual text content for the first party review. So I'm just going to pick some values here so we can move through and just see what that looks like. So once I click the send feedback, now I'm landing on the final thank you landing page with the review links here, and I can click through directly to the Facebook review page or the Google review page or whatever it is, that I'm emphasizing there. So basically that's what the flow looks like for ultimate mode. And if I go back now to my visual editor, I wanted to show you some of those other steps. So we just, these are the reminder emails that will come next if someone doesn't respond, right? If they haven't left feedback. 2 days later, they'll get their first reminder. The second reminder is turned off. I can turn it on and adjust the delay for that. Now here's the feedback landing page, right? So this is the page where once they first left the feedback, this is where my survey questions live now. So in the past, you had to go to a separate settings page for survey questions. Now you just set them all up right in here. So I can move them around, I can edit them. Everything's right here. I can see them in the visual preview. And so that's how I deal with that landing page. And then the positive landing page, this is where the review request is. So going down here, this is where my review request is. If I wanted to edit the content on this page, I can do it. So everything is just sitting right there. And then the rest of the items down here are the positive follow-up emails and the negative ones. And so you can basically change all of it right here. A couple of questions I'm just checking on. Courtney says, so in ultimate mode, you no longer have to click to give the feedback button. The survey is embedded in the initial email. That's right. So, and we're seeing much better response rates from that. So instead of in that initial email having this, hey, give us your feedback, would you please give us feedback? Then they click a button and then they're taken to a page. Now it's just right here, boom. They click on it and they drill in and then they're taken to that next step. Rickard says, what does the click here tag do? That is where, you know what, Rickard, I'm sorry, I should know that, but I'd have to play with it right now. We'll get an answer for you, for sure. Paul is saying, in ultimate mode, could you add the feedback text to the body of the positive feedback email, maybe as a tag? Could you add the feedback? Can you guys
copy function? He wants to be able to copy he wants the email that goes out as a thank you to the user to have the content of their feedback so they could copy it and paste it as a review, like the copy paste function.
Oh, yes, we did that before. Yes, and I agree with you, Paul. That should be there. We had that in there before too. We made that so. Gene is asking, is powered by Get 5 Stars going to be at the bottom of the customer's emails? No. If you're white labeling, then this will not be there. And in fact, you can edit, and I'll show you that in a minute, you can edit what this displays, so you could put your company name there. It's a good question, Gene. Thanks for asking. Courtney says, can you still include an image in the email to accompany the company name and address now appearing at the bottom of the email? So Courtney, that's one of the things, that was one of the changes we made where we did based on our testing. I mean, Aaron, you described this the other day and a workaround for that. Can you address that?
Yep. So we ended up determining that that additional visuals outside of, you know, the logo, who it's coming from, the accent color, didn't lend any more trust or confidence to the user. So we removed it because when you stack it, it ends up pushing the score down even more further on the mobile. What we really found in our research more than anything else is action-oriented things drove the customer more than more words, more visuals, more branding, any of that kind of stuff. So that's why we definitely went with more of a simplified and clean look. Now, if image is still really important, you know, this comes up more with like a financial advisor, an insurance agent. What I would recommend is you just create a logo for them that has both their photo and the logo in it. So I created a couple for a couple insurance agents we work with that we talk to where they're basically creating, instead of looking at it as a logo, you're looking at it as, you know, the header image up at top, and you're putting their headshot or the team photo on one side or the other, you know, laying it out and balancing it out with the logo. And I'll send Don just one that we created, and if he has a chance to pop that on the screen, to go ahead. But that's one easy workaround if somebody's really demanding and wants that added visual into it, is just kind of revamp the logo to include that element as well. You still there, Don?
I think he went surfing.
Well, Don is in California. Maybe California did finally fall off.
I'm not sure. Don, oh Don, you have control here. Maybe it's Don.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you. Yeah, good.
Oh, I feel like a Verizon commercial. I'm all over here. Can you hear me? Yeah, I was on. There are two mutes for me. One is on the GoToWebinar control panel, and one is on the cord of my headset. And I had one of them clicked that I didn't realize, so I was not surfing. All right, so
and the last thing I guess to point out with the photos too, like you can use them as the header image in however you want, right, on the landing pages. That's still in the templates, so you can show more visuals at other parts of the process. What we wanted to do is that very first email, we didn't want to clog that up with anything but getting them to take an action. So as Don shows there, the banner image, that's used in a number of the landing page templates, but that very first email, we want to keep that clean, just branded straight to the point, and get that customer to take action and start giving you feedback.
yeah, and what I was saying when I was on mute is that we did have a number of people say, wow, that image is still really important to us, and when you talked through with them, they just added it right to this top logo as Aaron suggested, and that really solved the problem. But again, trying not to push the call to action down too far. So anyway, we wanted to, I mean, I know not everything's perfect for everybody, but we just wanted to give you the background behind why we did that, you know. Rickard is saying, very cool that you can edit the review question text, can be edited now. Yep. So you mean in this landing page, right? We're talking about this one. You mean these ones, or for the survey questions, Rickard? Or he means this, yeah. So you can actually edit this. This was a request that we got from a lot of people.
It was actually editable in the previous version, just people didn't
It
know
was, but we added it. Yeah.
Right. It was on the survey page.
Would it make sense to add comments box too? Oh, to the initial email? You know, Courtney, we tested that, and what we found is that it was more productive to have one step at a time. So
it also doesn't work with Outlook.
Yes, that's exactly right. So within the email, you're so limited. You guys would not believe how much work it was to get this to display, these new touch targets to display properly on all the different email clients, you know, from Gmail to various versions of Outlook and all this stuff. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but like Outlook tries to display HTML, but it uses the Word, the Microsoft Word HTML rendering engine. It doesn't even use like a regular rendering engine for a browser, and so every version is just a disaster trying to get right. So you can't do JavaScript in the emails. There's a bunch of stuff you cannot do, and if you do it,
is no.
Yeah. I just wanted to try to give a little background on why we didn't do it, but I guess I was going on. So removing the urgent image is fine. Courtney says we're working with a photographer, and we were going to ask him for an image, but it's okay. Tim says San Diego didn't fall off anyway. I'm in Santa Cruz area, so that
oh darn,
we didn't fall off either. Yeah, so that's the deal. The other thing I wanted to point out here is that if you're using SMS, if your clients are using SMS, we do have a link to edit that here. We also have a link to jump to the brand and colors from here, which I already showed you. But you know, the way that SMS works is that, well, I'll just take you there real quick. If I was to be customizing the SMS message, right, we're using this short link now. You can customize all of this with the feedback URL, but that when they click that, it's going to take them into the flow that you have currently configured, right? So once they come in, they click that link, they'll be in ultimate mode. But if you're set in review mode, then that's the mode they'll come into when they click the link in the SMS. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention, because this question comes up a lot, is if I'm in ultimate mode and I send out a bunch of feedback requests and then I switch to review mode, what happens to those feedback requests? Well, whatever requests that they were, whatever mode that you had active when you sent those out, that's the experience that those customers will get. So if you send a bunch out and switch to another mode, any new requests you send out will be in review mode, but the previous ones will be in whatever mode it was at that time. So let's now switch to review mode and just take a look at this. So review mode is, you know, fewer steps, but it's very similar in terms of how it looks. But let's go take a look at the feedback request. That looks very much the same. But I will take you through the flow. You know, the same things are editable. But let's do an example so you can see how the flow looks a little different there.
And one thing I'd point out while Don's using this feature, we still have some kinks to work out. So originally Send Yourself a Test was more designed to like send yourself just a test of what you're working on and not so much a test to go through the flow. So there's some things where dynamic content isn't picked up based on what you clicked on or what you did. So by far and away the best way to test what you're working on is to add yourself as a test customer. Hopefully most of you, have done that before. You can send yourself multiples in Gmail by just adding a plus qualifier. So if your email address like mine, Aaron Weike at Gmail, you'd add Aaron Weike, the plus sign, and then test 2 or test 5 or test 50 or some kind of individual qualifier. And then you can send as many tests as you want to the same Gmail inbox. So that's a really easy way to test. But we're going to be looking at, cleaning some of those up and making as many of those as best as possible. But to truly get a real live active test, you should be completing things and then sending things to yourself, adding yourself as a customer, not just picking up somewhere and grabbing the test screen. Again, we will look to improve that, but there are little hiccups in there for where things jump to and not replacing what the comments were before. If you saw Don in ultimate mode where he wrote one set of comments and then in the copy paste was a different static comment that was in there. So just be aware of those. We're going to try to work on those, but by far and away my advice is the best way to test is add yourself as a customer.
Yep. Yep. So right, so feedback requests, we looked at that. I just sent myself one. There's something I wanted to mention about that in here is in the landing page. So this is the landing page we're going to see in a minute, but we have this option to include direct feedback or not. So you can just change this switch. If you don't want to include it, we recommend that you do, but at least you have the option to remove that. And this is what Rickard was saying, is he'd like to be able to edit this. Yep, I agree that this should be editable, and we'll get there. But that's something I wanted, unique to review mode, I wanted to point out here. And again, you can change the feedback, reminder emails and the timing and everything else. So let me just flip back over here and see the review mode request that came out. It looks very similar to the ultimate mode. But when I click through now, you're going to see that it takes me directly to a thank you page with, here's the banner image. And this could be, whatever photo you want. You specify in brand and colors. Here are the review links. Here's the direct feedback link. So now they've got the option to leave you an online review straight away, like right the first click after the email. But they can also leave direct feedback. So if I go in here, it's like, okay, in review mode, we've already captured the Net Promoter Score question, but now we're capturing that first party feedback, right? This is the feedback that we could use as publish on your website, markup with rich snippets, and then when they submit that, we take them back to the online review again. So basically, they have that ability to do it still. All right. So that's review mode. Any questions about that? I'm going to move on to, I see a bunch of questions actually. To be clear, you cannot edit the ultimate question outside of being able to change the company name. Yeah, that's right, Courtney. So that is one question that you can change, the actual company name or whatever, but you can't change the actual question itself, because if we allowed people to change that question, it's no longer the Net Promoter Score, and then you can't do comparisons against other companies in your industry, even within your own. If that question is changing all the time, like how do you know what you're looking at? So we wanted to keep that question pure, but then survey questions allow you to ask other specific questions. All right, so moving to direct mode. Same deal. You have all the steps in one place that you can edit and modify. Here's the feature that Mike was talking about. So here's my feedback request. It's really a review request email, right? Because it leads with my online review links, whichever ones I have selected and chosen. But this give feedback button is at the bottom by default, but I can change that. So if I click here, I can move it to the top with just slider. And that is a way for me to, I guess, Mike, what would be your guideline in terms of like when would I want it at the top versus at the bottom here?
If you're testing it with, well, it depends on your goals, right? In the few places I've tested it, their goal was a lot of feedback and a lot of reviews. In that situation, we put it at the top, and what we found is a surprising number of people gave feedback and reviews. A few people just gave reviews, but we got a lot of both. So the other is if you're testing it with a less than 85, I would suggest putting it at the top to try to be sure to take it, to not risk human behavior and give them an opportunity to vent. But if you're looking primarily for reviews and secondarily for feedback, then I'd put it at the bottom. So, again, I haven't tested it broadly enough to give you an absolute answer. I'm trying to get a couple clients to test it at scale so we can get some data. I am in the places I've tested it though, even with sort of, not 90 NPS scores, people have given feedback and not given bad reviews. So I think, and I don't think there's any reason to fear it, is my point. So.
Okay, so let me send one of these so we can just see this flow here.
And this mode will be in compliance with everybody except Yelp's terms of service.
No, yeah, which nobody's in compliance with. I should stop saying stuff like that. Okay, so here's the flow where you can edit all the different steps. Let's just go back and take a look, and so you can see how this flow plays out. So this is the direct mode, and here I have the review links right in the email. And basically, one thing I forgot to show you is that we don't have survey questions turned on. So when I go to this private feedback landing page in direct mode, you're going to see an option in here, do I want to include survey questions? Those survey questions are defined in ultimate mode, so that's one thing that's a little tricky. You need to know that that's where they're edited, but I can turn them on here if I want them. So that's an option. I had them turned off when I sent that feedback request, so you're not going to see them. So let's say that they decide not to click straight through to Google or Facebook. They say get feedback. Now it basically takes them right into the ultimate mode flow. In this case, I did not have survey questions turned on, but I could have. So that's a decision you'll have to make, is like, hey, if somebody's in direct mode and they click that they want to leave me direct feedback, do I want to ask them the survey questions or not? And so I just wanted you to know that that's a possibility if you want to do it that way. And in that way, they would just go right through the whole ultimate flow, and you can still capture the whole customer experience. All right, so that's the modes. A lot of great questions from you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add on, we know some of you, just as Don alluded to, right? You've been very successful. You have 20, 50, 200, 500 locations. We get with where the shift went that it is going to create, a little bit of work and elbow grease for you guys to move people over. But we just understood in making that there is no way, because of the kind of seismic shift in the steps and what we were doing, to make it one-to-one compatible. We'd love to make it where it was a one-click process for you. So a couple of things to think about is, one, do it in chunks, right? Pick 10 or 20 off in a week, or as you're going in monthly checking on them, and then move them over at that time. And obviously all of them do not have to be done at once. And just keep in mind, we did it with, at the very top of everything was more results. We wanted you to get more third-party reviews, more first-party reviews, more NPS ratings, and then being able to choose what best aligns with the customer. So in doing that, we've already seen that these modes are accomplishing that. So that's the motivation for you guys. Your clients are going to be happier. They're going to get better results. You're going to look better. That's exactly what we wanted to accomplish. So again, we wish there was an easy button for it, but definitely take a look at some ways where how you can work and make that progression through, because eventually we will want to remove legacy mode from the product, because it doesn't serve us well to have a piece of the product that only works half as good as the other modes that we have.
Yep. Okay, so a couple other features I want to update you guys on real quick. I know we're kind of bumping into the top of the hour here, but we're good to stay if you can, and kind of finish this up. Another major new feature that is out there now in production is a new customer uploader. So in the past, you guys, many of you have probably are aware of this, but if you wanted to upload a list of customers to a location, you have to have the spreadsheet in an exact format, otherwise it'll fail. We've added more and more fields based on requests, and so that gets more and more complicated. Well, now we inspect your spreadsheet and we do our best to map it, and then we allow you to totally customize, like, hey, we think this column belongs to first name. Is that true? And you can change that, and it's just a much cleaner design and a much more compatibility with file types. We do automatic column matching and better error messaging for missing data in certain columns. So anyway, much improved. This is an update we've needed to do for a while, and I'm really excited that it's out there. It should help a lot.
Yeah, and this was one where we really had you guys in mind because we know a number of you are asking for your customers' lists on a weekly or monthly basis. And we wanted to make this super easy when you guys get it, right? Because they might be importing it out of who knows what, right? A different CRM, another email program, and we didn't want you to have to keep monkeying around putting it into our format. So this will make that process a lot easier. And what we're really hoping for most of you is it allows you to get those lists more frequently too, because as Mike mentioned before, the number one optimization you can make to get more feedback and reviews is the human ask by mentioning it in your process. The second one is sending that feedback request as closely to that wow moment, to their experience with the business as possible. So if you're currently doing this on a monthly basis, I'd really look at how do we do it twice a month now, really, because it's going to take all of 60 to 120 seconds for your team to upload it and get those customers into the system, where before it would take them time to kind of reformat, create the columns, make sure you had a good match so you could get them all in the system.
Yep. Another new feature that you may not know about is Twitter monitoring. So we had a number of especially bigger customers come to us and say, hey, we want to be able to monitor, in addition to online reviews, we want to watch for mentions of our store or our brand. So we now have that, you can monitor up to 5 hashtags or keywords or Twitter handles, and we update hourly, and this is for Pro Plan and up only. So this is a new feature. I'm not sure if this is something that any of you have, wanted to see, but we had a lot of people ask for this. So we're excited about it. It's a cool new feature, and if you're, when you're selling, and what our goal is to help. We're adding more and more value to the Pro plan. So right now, if you want to do SMS, it's in Pro. Twitter monitoring, we're adding more and more things. So hopefully that will help you with upgrades for your customers as well. That's our goal here. Courtney says, are you going to be adding more filtering and sorting functionality on the dashboard as well? Courtney, yeah, we are always doing that. And please send me specifically, or send us specifically, what you'd like to see. I'd love to hear what you have in mind. But we're all about trying to make it easy for you to get at that data and say, well, how do I want to look at this? We've got some cool reporting stuff coming that allows you to do some really nice custom reports across many locations or groups. But I'd love to hear what you have in mind or what you want to see. Kyle is asking, can you monitor based on location in the Twitter monitor? Yes, it is per location. Yep.
Yeah, it's per location. It doesn't monitor where the user's tweeting from, right? So, but you have the availability to monitor at each location. So you can put in a different set of 5 keywords, handles, hashtags per that location.
Yeah.
So if you had like a 3 location and you wanted to include monitoring like a city name or something like that, you can, but it doesn't allow you to monitor, the users are from a specific location.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, because some of you have asked and may not know, is that you can change the powered by text. That came up earlier in the webinar. So basically you go to account, white label settings, and you can change the text and the link in the where it says powered by, and you can put your own agency name there as well. So that's just something that you might want to know about. Zane is saying, this is great. I'm hoping these new modes might be able to help get potential customers past their objection that it's too much work on their end to implement their internal processes. Yep, that's right. We're trying to make it as smooth and easy as possible. And I also think what's cool here, Zane, is that being able to switch between the different modes too, like just to find out what works best for a customer, or if they want to focus on building first-party reviews for a while and then switch to third-party reviews, or they want to get some answers to some survey questions to understand their customers' sentiment. So a lot of possibilities here, I think, for working with customers to get more rich customer data. All right, the other thing I just wanted to mention, in case you're not using this, make sure to use our testimonials widget, right? We've recently redone it. The performance is outstanding. We've got the tagging capability. If you're not using this, you can tag testimonials and create custom testimonial pages based on products or services or service area or staff, right? A lot of possibilities there. All you need to do is go add tags to the customer feedback. We've made that really easy to do. You can generate custom tag testimonial widgets for different pages on their site, and then just place the widgets on the site. So that's a feature that if you're not using it, we just wanted to make sure to bring that up. And the last thing is I wanted to introduce a new member of our team that he started in September. This is Chris Walker. Some of you may already know Chris because he's been working in digital marketing and in agency world for quite a while. He was with Imprezio before, working with Joy Hawkins prior to joining us. And so, I mean, he used to resell Get 5 Stars in his agency, so he knows like that side of it and understands kind of the pain points and the things that he used to worry about, and he can help you. So Chris is just doing great. We love having him on the team, and I just wanted to make sure to introduce him today, that he is available to you to help you grow your business. He's focused on, you know, resellers and agencies for us. And so welcome, Chris. It's great to have you on the team. He's been tearing it up since he started in September. And I just wanted to make sure you guys all knew about Chris. All right.
Yeah, so Chris's email is just chris@get5stars.com. So if you want to reach out and make an introduction, Chris's job is to, you know, be a solid liaison, help you guys with things related to sales process, you know, still go through support for issues when you run into, you know, a bug or a functionality issue or anything else like that. But as far as having someone to talk to on sales process, you know, over time we're going to work on trying to get you more materials, things like that. Chris is your go-to for that. He's there to help you be successful with our platform. So that's where you want to reach out and start to interact with Chris on those things. And again, it's Chris, CHRIS, @get5stars.com.
And I see based on the comments that many people have worked with Chris already, and Amanda says Chris is awesome. So yeah, that's great. Thanks, guys. Okay, very good. Well, we're a little over, but I hope you didn't mind that. We have lots to cover. You know, kind of went through questions. I think we're good. Any last questions? If things come up, don't hesitate to reach out to us. I want to hear your feedback on the new modes. As you know, as always, we're flexible and want to make this great for you. Want to make it a great asset for you guys, trying to always add value. So, yeah, so thanks for spending some time with us today. Really appreciate that. And we will talk to you soon. Take care.